Busu is hanging out at Mamak with her friends. One of her friends, Eunice from Sarawak, has just gotten Yayasan Sarawak to pursue her dream in UniMas. Another friend of hers, Fatin, has JPA scholarship and is going for a private university. Both of them are very excited except Busu, who has no idea where she wants to go after SPM. She suddenly feels lost. Back at home, Busu started to search online for scholarships and affordable courses that she can have. As the eldest daughter among 3 siblings, she has to carry the responsibility to care about their welfares too. She searched through almost all scholar pages but couldn't find a suitable course for her. She was starting to lose hope until a thought sparked her. She decided to discuss the thoughts with her father. As she went outside her room, she immediately saw them talking on the mat. She sat down with them and started talking how envious she got when her friends all had a direction in life after SPM except for her. She decided to go for A-levels in private universities instead, as she believed that her friends will not look down on her. However, her father snapped at her as studying in private university is a dream too far to be reached and that she should stop her unrealistic dreams. As she was about to explain the pros and cons of her thoughts, her father demanded that she should go back to her room and think about her misbehavior. Feeling very sad and disappointed, Busu went back to her room. Disappointment was about to pull Busu to the abyss until she suddenly thought of her mysterious pen pal. She opened her laptop and ranted with her. Hi, my dear pen pal. I'm so lost. I got excellent results for my SPM, but it's still insufficient for me to apply for any scholarships to further my doctor dream. As a T20 group, all my parents' salaries are only enough for our livelihood, but they can't afford me to pursue my dream. Studying in the medical field is so costly, but I can't give up on my dream. What can I do, my dear pen pal? Regards, Lost Busu. Busu clicked the send button and shut down her laptop immediately, hoping for a reply. After a few days, as Busu was sleeping soundly, a notification came in and woke her up. She got up the moment she saw her email notification on her phone and quickly rushed to her study room to check out her email. Just like what she hoped for, it was her pen pal's reply. Hi Busu, I can see where you're coming from. I felt lost too until I found something just what I wanted. Worry not, because I'm here to give you a hint. Hope you get my suggestion. Enjoy, I'll always be here. Her pen pal left her an attachment. Curious, she opened it and saw Matrices in it. As a diligent student who is always thirsty for new adventures and knowledge, she started to pick up the challenge and decrypt the code. However, nothing comes simple. She looked into the first code, but it was wrong. She couldn't get the right answer. She worked hard on the matrices until she finally got her answer. Busu has finally made up her mind to follow what her pen pal suggested. For the next month, Busu has already entered University Putra Malaysia. She has made new friends and enjoys her time there. Ranked second among universities in Malaysia, Busu is proud to be in UPM and she will study hard to get the course she wants to further during degree. Today, Busu is teaching her classmates mathematics in class during break time. Her classmates offer to treat her food as a token of appreciation. As they walk out of the class, Busu saw someone familiar with the profile picture of her mysterious pen pal. So now, we will be solving the solution for K1 by using the adjoint method. Firstly, we need to determine the determinant of K1, which is negative 28. Next, we will find the minor of each element of K1, which is denoted by Mij, I being the row of the element and J being the column of the element. So for M11, we will obtain the answer of negative 10. For M12, we will obtain the answer of 12. For M13, it will be 10. And for M14, it will be negative 4. Next, for M21, the answer will be negative 3. For M22, the answer will be 26. For M23, the answer will be 17. And for M24, the answer will be negative 4. Following that, For M31, the answer will be 9. For M32, the answer will be 34. For M33, the answer will be 5. And for M34, the answer will be negative 16. And last but not least, for M41, the answer will be negative 2. For M42, the answer will be 8. For M43, the answer will be 2. And for M44, the answer will be negative 12. Next, we will be able to determine the matrix of cofactors, and we will be able to calculate the inverse for K1 by using the respective formula. And hence, by finding the product of P and also the inverse of K1, we are able to obtain the answer. However, it cannot be solved as the answer cannot be with decimal points. So now we will be solving for K2. Firstly, we will begin with the augmented matrix, and we will perform elementary row operations until we obtain the inverse for K2 on the left side of the line. So firstly, we will multiply row 1 with a non-zero scalar, which is 3, and subtract the result of the multiplication with row 2. And hence, row 2 will be replaced with the result of the subtraction. Next, we will replace row 3 with the sum of row 3 and also row 4. Following that, we will multiply row 1 with a non-zero scalar, which is 3, and subtract the multiple of row 1 with row 4, and replace row 4 with the result of the subtraction. Following that, we will multiply row 3 with 1 over 2, and replace row 2 with the result of the multiplication and also row 2. Following that, we will interchange between two rows, which is row 3 and row 4. Following that, we will multiply row 4 with 1 over 3 and subtract the result of the multiplication with row 1 and replace row 1 with the result of the subtraction. Next, we will multiply row 4 with a non-zero scalar, which is 1 over 10. And following that, we will interchange between two rows, which is row 3 and row 4. Following that, we will multiply row 3 with 3 over 2 and subtract the multiple of row 3 with row 2, and we will replace row 2 with the result of the subtraction. And following that, we will multiply row 3 with 7 over 3 and replace row 1 with the result of the multiplication and row 1. However, K2 cannot be solved as determinant is 0. Hence, K2 has no inverse. And now we will be talking about the solution for problem solving for K3. So firstly, we will begin with augmented matrix, and we will perform elementary row operations until the identity matrix appears on the left of the vertical line. So firstly, we will interchange between row 3 and row 1. Next, we will multiply row 1 with a non-zero scalar, which is 2. Next, we will subtract row 1 with row 2 and replace row 2 with the result of the subtraction. Following that, we will multiply row 1 with 1 over 2. Next, we will multiply row 1 with a non-zero scalar, which is 5, and subtract the multiple of row 1 with row 3 and replace row 3 with the result of the subtraction. Following that, we will multiply row 1 with 5 and subtract the multiple of row 1 with row 4 and replace row 4 with the result of the subtraction. Next, we will subtract row 2 with row 1 and replace row 1 with the result of the subtraction. Following that, we will replace row 2 with the sum of row 3 and also the multiple of row 2 with a non-zero scalar, which is 3. Next, we will multiply row 2 with 2 and also replace row 4 with the sum of the multiple of row 2 and row 4. Next, we will multiply row 3 with a non-zero scalar, which is negative 1 over 6. Following that, we will multiply row 3 with 2 and subtract the multiple of row 3 with row 1 and replace row 1 with the result of the subtraction. Next, we will replace row 2 with the sum of row 2 and row 3. Following that, we will replace row 4 with the sum of row 4 and the multiple of row 3 with a non-zero scalar that is 2. Next, we will multiply row 4 with a non-zero scalar, which is negative 1 over 3. Following that, we will subtract row 4 with row 1 and replace row 1 with the result of the subtraction. And hence, we will obtain the inverse for K3. Following that, we will find the product of P and K3, which is the inverse of K3. Next, we will find the product of P and also the inverse of K3. Hence, the answer obtained is the decryption of the secret message, which is Asasi UPN terhebat.